Hi, I'm Titli and I've got a confession to make. Okay, it's time to fess up. I've actually been working very hard in the garden over the last 2 weeks. There's been a lot going on, which I'll show you in a minute. Why didn't I have my video camera out? Well, 98% of the time I was digging, just digging. My hands have got soil ingrained in, which I can't seem to scrub out. And they feel a bit like sandpaper at the moment. I can't even wear my wedding ring because I've got dry, hard skin on this just down here. So it's all a bit... Anyway, let me show you what I've been digging. So let's start with this raised bed, which is looking rather good, don't you think? So here's the thing, I want to grow root vegetables in this bed this year, but you'll remember that my previous attempts at growing root vegetables ended up a little bit, well, they're all mutants. Yeah, mutant. That's because there's so many stones in the bed. So here's what I did. I dug out the entire bed to a depth of 18 inches and riddled out all of those stones greater in size than about 1/4 inch, and then put all the soil back. And then added in some soil conditioner and compost. So now it's in the state it's in today, looking good for root veg. I've also got my bean poles in place ready to plant out, yes, plant out my French beans. So did I get many stones out of the bed? Well, I got 2 barrowfuls of them. That's right, 2 whole barrowfuls of small stones. Well, some of them weren't so small actually. So where have I put them? Which brings me to another part of the garden where I've done a lot of digging. This whole corner of the garden has transformed. The cherry tree's gone, and it took me best part of a day to dig that out and dig all the roots out. I've got this nice new Acer tree, like Acer, and I've got a couple of and I've got a spirea, and I've got some privet here which will grow and cover up this fence. I even moved my hosta back to where it was originally 2 years ago. So that's all very interesting, I'm sure, but it doesn't answer the question of what I did with all the stones that I got out of that particular raised bed. Well, here's the answer. They're lining the bottom of this hole I've dug for the foundations for the new patio. It's 2.5 metres by 2.5 metres, or about 7.5 feet, 8 feet square, something like that. So it's quite a sizable patio. And the hole's 6 inches deep. So the question remains, where did all the soil go? Well, some of it went here, and here, and here, and along here. In fact, just about anywhere I could sensibly find to put it, although some of it has had to go down the tip. The hardcore to put in this hole should arrive on Tuesday next week. And when I say hardcore, I'm not talking pornography, and the reason it'll be next week is because Monday's a public holiday, and the forklift truck down at my local builder's yard is being repaired. Anyway, let's go back to that first raised bed. So the first thing I'll do is just very lightly fork it over again. You see it's lovely light soil, no sound of stones. Ready for action. So I'm going to plant carrots and parsnips. For the parsnips I've got a variety called Countess F1, for no other reason than I like the name. And for the carrots I've got an F1 hybrid called Carrot Flyaway, which is supposed to keep down carrot fly. We'll see. So I'll start by making some drills with my handy pocket dibber in the soil, and the rows need to be 12 inches apart. And then I'll thinly spread the seed into the drills. Now the sun is that side, so I'm putting the carrots here because they won't grow as high as the parsnips and therefore won't shade the parsnips. Then I'll just flick the soil over the top. Then I'll pull a few drills for my parsnips, and sow thinly as well, and cover over just as I did with the carrots. So, it'll be interesting to see how these turn out. The next thing to do is to plant some of my French beans because they're getting a bit big. So my strategy is quite simple. I'm just going to put one either side of each pole, so I'll have 2 beans per pole. Dig a nice hole in this lovely soil. Got lovely roots coming out the bottom hook. And in you go. There we go, and I've got room for 2 more at the end. This year I'm trying to get the amount of beans I grow just right. Last year was a bit too many, plus they're a bit more difficult to pick when you've got so many rows. So this year, 1 row next to the edge should be easy to pick, and there should be just enough for 1 season. So this bed is now ready for the rest of the year, except it's missing something. Beds like this have 2 enemies. Number 1 is my terrorist cat, who will like to use it as a toilet because it's lovely fine soil, and the second is the slugs. Let's deal with the cat issue first. Now, regular viewers will be very familiar with my cat defences. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh yeah, cat safe. So there's just the slugs left, and the snails, which is why I'm going to use weapons of mollusk destruction. Now I know that some of you don't like the idea I use chemicals on my garden. That's fine, you don't have to watch my videos, but please don't have a rant at me telling me how I should change my politics to whatever yours is. I once had a woman who ranted at me for pages and pages about how I should be ashamed of myself because I work for DuPont, a chemical company. No, I feel no shame. I've got to earn a living and I like science. The last thing to do is water all my seeds and plants. There's a rain shower forecast in about 24 hours time, so I don't need to worry too much about giving them a good soaking. I'll get their own good soaking tomorrow. You can see that my potatoes have all popped up. But since potatoes grow better in hills, it's time for me to pull up some soil around them. And I'll probably be doing this about once a week from now on, until the potatoes are ready to crop, just pulling the soil up around the shoots. Go potatoes, go potatoes, go potatoes. And the last thing for this week is to rake off the top some of the big stones that have been imported into this bed with all the soil I dug out the foundations. Then I can scoop them out and put them in the foundation for the patio. Then I need to plant in my more advanced cauliflower and broccoli plants. Done! I give them a bit of water and a little bit of protection from the slugs and snails. Actually, we haven't had as many slugs and snails in the garden since we got rid of that hedge. They used to hide a lot down there. And slugs and snails can travel an amazing distance in a night. I remember one night last year coming out and finding a whole flotilla of them coming across the lawn in this general direction. Well, it's been quite a good week really. Next week I'll probably be spending a lot of time working on the patio, and of course I'll get the video camera out for that because that might be of more interest to you. I will be voting next week. Some of you might be interested to know my politics, but let me just tell you who I won't be voting for, and that's Mr. Millipede, the man of 1,000 promises. If you're a voter, he's got a promise for you. Thanks for watching, and do join me next time in Titli's busy garden.